Hello and welcome to the Fin to the Woods podcast with me, Finian Hackett. I hope you're all doing well. I have a brand new microphone, so I do apologise in advance if the sound isn't not as good, but isn't where it should be, because I'm still trying to work out how to use this mic. It's just me by myself trying to work this all out. And I'm not the most technically minded. I am in some sense, but sound equipment, especially when I was at uni, was not my forte, so I do apologise, but it should sound better because it's a more expensive one, and it was a very nice present I got for Christmas, so I'm excited to use it. But on this episode, we're going to be talking awards season. This is kind of my awards season special, if you will, looking at the film awards and music awards, as well as theatre awards as well, the What's on Stage awards, which just happened a few days ago. We're then going to look at the Theatres Trust register of theatres at risk across the country and talk about some of those and how you can get involved and help support these venues, and then all the latest theatre news as well, including new seasons at the RSC and at Regent's Park, so quite a lot to get through, so let's get going. So, let's talk about awards season. Now, I love this time of year. I love awards season because I love awards. Who doesn't want to win one? I know some people don't necessarily agree with them and think that we shouldn't have them, but they're there for a reason, to showcase and honour the best of the best, and who wouldn't want to win one? I certainly would. So I love an awards show. I love films. I've really kind of got into films a lot more over the last few years and tried to watch at least 100 new films every year. I think I'm on 13, at the moment for this year, which is pretty good considering it's only like the 10th of Feb whenever I am recording this. But I love them. I really enjoy them. I also do like music, not really I don't really listen to pop music, to be fair. I do listen mainly to musical theatre, but I love me some Beyonce, and she did very well at the Grammys, so very happy for her. And I also do love theatre, obviously, because of this podcast, so this time of year is a really good time of year for me. I just really enjoy it. It's just full of the arts and full of wonderful outfits and great performances at these ceremonies, so it's great. Obviously the Tonys are a bit later on, same with the Oliviers, they're a bit later on as well. The Primetime Emmy Awards are also usually in, I think, September time, so they aren't at the moment either. However, there's lots of others to talk about, and first, we're going to talk about the Grammys. So the Grammys happened fairly recently, and the musical theatre album category was a very busy one this year. You had musicals like Suffs, as well as revivals like The Wiz and Merrily We Roll Along, but the winner was Hell's Kitchen, which is kind of the Alicia Keys jukebox musical. Now, there was some discussion, I'd say, online about whether this should have won over other original musicals because it's a jukebox musical. Now, I believe that whatever the best cast recording is, or soundtrack, or whatever's nominated, should win. It shouldn't be about whether the music has been used before. I think it takes so much more, not so much more effort, but I do believe that jukebox musicals, if they're done well, are quite hard to do because you've got to adapt all these pop songs to fit a Broadway score. They've got to be reorchestrated, rearranged, and made into something fresh and new. And I like the Hell's Kitchen cast recording. I listened to it all the way through a few weeks back, and I was really impressed. I thought it was a very good jukebox musical, and it felt quite original. Maybe that's because I don't really know Alicia Keys' music that well, but I know it well enough to know that they've done great things with those songs. I wasn't surprised that it won because also Alicia Keys has strong links with the Grammys. She's won many over the years, so giving her another one for her musical theatre album, I'm not surprised particularly. I would have loved to have seen Merrily We Roll Along win because, again, that was a really good cast recording, but it was a really difficult year and really busy. But musicals that have songs that have already been in other things, like jukebox musicals or reviews, have won many times. Ain't Misbehavin' won the Grammy. Lena Horne's album won the Grammy, and that was just a collection of songs. Like it happens more often than people think. Jukebox musicals have won loads. Jersey Boys won, Beautiful the Carole King musical won, American Idiot won. So it's not a surprise that another jukebox musical took home the award. But apart from that, there wasn't much else musical theatre related at the Grammys. I really enjoyed Sabrina Carpenter's performance. I thought that was really theatrical and exciting, and I think she is great. And obviously she did do Mean Girls on Broadway for about 4 days before the COVID lockdown, but I just really enjoy her as a performer. I think she's great, and I think she's gonna do lots of great things. There was just some really great performances. Cynthia Erivo also did a really nice tribute. She sang Fly Me to the Moon, which was just stunning. She's got such an amazing voice, and it was with this big band, and it was wonderful. If you haven't seen that, I do suggest you go on YouTube and have a look. But yes, that's a little bit about the Grammys before we go into the What's on Stage Awards. So the What's on Stage Awards happened on Sunday, the 9th of February, at the London Palladium, and I did want to go. I was going to go, but travelling up to London on a Sunday, for me, is a bit of a faff. So I frankly couldn't be bothered. And also, do I really want to sit up at the back of the gods in the Palladium when I could rather just see who won at home and be nice and comfy in bed? I think that option was the better choice. But it was a very, very, very good night for Starlight Express. It took home 7 awards, including Best Musical Revival, and it also won for its costume, its set, its lighting, its video, its wigs, hair and makeup, which was the first time that this award has been given out at the What's on Stage Awards. It did really, really well. I'm not surprised, because the What's on Stage Awards are more of a popularity contest than they are a celebration of the best, because lots of these awards are nominated for and voted for by the public. So Starlight is very popular and it has a really big fan base, so again, was not surprised. Macbeth took home Best Play Revival as well as Best Sound, and David Tennant took home Best Leading Performer in a Play, his record-breaking 5th What's on Stage award. Again, not surprised, David Tennant stuff does well at the What's on Stage Awards, and again, very good cast and a very good production by all accounts. Imelda Staunton won her 3rd What's on Stage award for her performance in Hello Dolly for Best Performer in a Musical. Her other wins in this category were for Sweeney Todd when she played Mrs. Lovett and for Gypsy when she played Rose. So well deserved, and I'm really, really happy she won. Again, she is a popular performer, but there was other shows like Why Am I So Single and Mean Girls up in that category too, so I was thinking they might take it because of the younger fan base, but no, Imelda came through, and I do think she'll win the Olivier as well in April. I'm hoping she does anyway. Other performers who won include Freema Agyeman, Leighton Williams, Melanie LaBarry. It was a really great night for lots of shows across the board. Mean Girls, surprisingly, I think, took home Best Musical, and Spirited Away took home Best Play. I say Mean Girls was a surprise because I thought that The Curious Case of Benjamin Button would have taken it. That's where I would have placed my bets, but as I said, Mean Girls has a big fan base, and that was voted for by the public. Oliver at the Chichester Festival Theatre took home Best Regional Production. I was really sad for Becoming Nancy. I really wanted them to take home that award. I saw both productions, but personally I preferred Becoming Nancy. So yeah, a bit sad about that, but I'll let it go. And Six was crowned the Best West End Show for the 5th year in a row. It's doing very well, and I think as long as it's running, it's probably got that award in the bag, because again, it's got a really strong younger fan base, and this award was voted for by the public. So a really good night, especially for Starlight Express. There were some great performances as well. I've seen a few clips, but the awards aren't filmed. I wish they were properly filmed and broadcast. I would have really enjoyed that, but I don't think they were, which is a shame. But yes, really happy for everyone, and this kind of kickstarts the theatrical awards season here in the UK, because the Oliviers happen on the 6th of April, and they've announced the hosts, and this year it's going to be Billy Porter, who's currently starring in Cabaret, and also Beverly Knight. What a pair, what a powerhouse, I can't wait, especially after 2 years of Hannah Waddingham, and we've had Jason Manford before. It's nice to spice it up and have 2 new people present the awards. And broadcasting, as I said with the What's on Stage, which wasn't broadcast, ITV are also not broadcasting the awards properly, again, for the umpteenth time. I'm really annoyed about this. I do wish that something like Sky Arts would pick up the ceremony and just broadcast it live, because I think it deserves it. It annoys me that we get this kind of highlights reel at the end of the show, and in the States they broadcast the whole thing on YouTube, but in the UK we can't watch that. It is the most bizarre thing, and I wish it would change. I really, really do, but unfortunately it hasn't for yet another year. But fingers crossed for next year. I say it every year, but I highly doubt it's going to happen. Right, let's talk films. So this year has been probably one of the most open years for film because there are so many great films and so many films have had quite a few nominations. It's just a complete open playing field for anyone to win this year, apart from in a few categories, as you'll get to know over the course of this episode. So we're going to kick off talking about the Golden Globes. So this year saw the film Emilia Perez be nominated the most, 10 times. So, if you don't know about this film, it stars Carla Sofia Gascon and Selena Gomez and Zoe Saldana, and it's basically this weird story about this drug cartel man who becomes Emilia Perez. She is a transgender woman, and it's all about Emilia Perez's children with Selena Gomez's character and the fact that Emilia Perez befriends her character and then finds out it's a dreadful storyline, and it's also a musical, and it's also in a foreign language. It is the foreign language film that is probably likely to win that award at the Oscars, but it has been a really big success in the awards season, and I do not understand why. The general public reviews for this film have been atrocious. It has been trashed in the press, it's been trashed online, because I do agree, it's a dreadful, dreadful film, and I don't understand the love that it is getting. You may have seen some of the clips of some of the musical numbers online. They are appalling, the writing is dreadful, and I just don't understand it. However, this is not the only problem with this movie, because there's been lots of controversy surrounding the leading actress Carla Sofia Gascon, and that is because there were tweets that she made that have come out now, and they are racist, they are misogynistic, they are just nasty tweets about lots of different things and people, and they've all come to light after an investigation was done, I believe, by Variety. These kind of unearthed tweets have proved to be a huge dent in the campaign for Emilia Perez at the Oscars and other award ceremonies too, because they have now cut ties with the actress. Netflix have cut ties with her. They won't pay for her flights. They won't pay for anything. It's all gone really sour. Zoe Saldana has put out a statement saying she doesn't agree with certain things. The director saying that he doesn't have contact with her anymore. It's caused so many problems for the film and everybody involved, and rightly so. You shouldn't be saying those things and thinking you can get away with them. And also, I think it's baffling that when you know that this actress is going to become the star of a very successful movie, why wasn't her social media scrubbed? Like many people do, get a PR person in and just scrub all your tweets. I don't understand why that wasn't done. I think it's a really bizarre thing that they didn't really kind of delve more into that. But that has kind of been the kind of big grey cloud over award season for film this year. And it's a shame because it shouldn't happen. And she made history as being the first openly trans actress to be nominated for an Oscar, and it's a really kind of milestone thing. However, it's been just shrouded in all this horrible stuff that's been going on, and it's really put a dampener on what could have been a really historical and really amazing time for transgender people and representation in the world of film. So, yeah, Emilia Perez also is just a crap film, so that doesn't help its chances either. But yes, so it did quite well at the Golden Globes. It ended up taking home 4, including Best Musical/Comedy, over Wicked, which blows my mind. And it also, as I said, took home Best Non-English Language Film, which I think it probably will at the Oscars too. The Brutalist, which is a very long, 3-hour-long film starring Adrian Brody, took home Best Drama. Adrian Brody also took home Best Drama Actor for The Brutalist. Fernando Torres took home the Best Actress in a Drama for I'm Still Here, which is another foreign language movie. Sebastian Stan won for Best Actor in a Musical or Comedy for his performance in A Different Man, and Demi Moore took home the award for Best Actress in a Musical or Comedy for the horror movie The Substance. This win for The Substance is a really big thing for horror, because horror has often been kind of an overlooked category and genre in film awards, and it's taken someone like Demi Moore to star in the film to kind of boost it into the awards season contention, and she's doing really well, and she is the front runner for the Best Actress Oscar. Kieran Culkin took home the award for Best Supporting Actor for his performance in A Real Pain, and Zoe Saldana took home the award for Best Supporting Actress for her performance in Emilia Perez. Wicked took home one for Best Cinematic and Box Office Achievement, which is a very odd award. It's kind of just this is the fun award that everyone like this film award. I think it's a really odd thing. But the Golden Globes kind of set the level for the whole awards season, and with Emilia Perez and The Brutalist leading the pack going into the following ceremonies. Next up this awards season was the Critics' Choice Awards. So these were meant to happen on the 12th of January, so quite a long time ago, but due to the fires in LA, they were postponed to the 7th of February, so they've literally just happened a few days ago. The most nominated films here were Wicked and Conclave. So Conclave is a film about the choosing and the selection of the next pope, and kind of how all the contenders kind of have different things going against them, and basically one by one they get whittled out by Ralph Fiennes' character in the film, finds out things about each contender for the next pope, and it's a really good film, really intriguing, really well filmed, just some great performances in it. So that and Wicked got nominated for 11 awards. Then Dune Part 2 and Emilia Perez had 10 nominations each, so it was very close. Like I said, quite a lot of films getting quite a lot of nominations. Adrian Brody, Demi Moore, Kieran Culkin and Zoe Saldana all once again took home the awards in their respective categories, further pushing them to the front of the Oscars race. John M. Chu won Best Director for Wicked, and this is quite surprising because he wasn't nominated for the Oscar for Best Director, which was an interesting decision. I mean, Wicked did get quite a few Oscar nominations, but he wasn't nominated because they only have about 5 nominees in those categories. So of course someone's going to have to miss out, especially out of the 10 Best Picture nominees. But he was the Best Director according to the Critics' Choice Awards. Anora won Best Picture. So this is the first film ever to win this award at the Critics' Choice Awards without winning any other awards. Anora is about a marriage between a sex worker and a Russian oligarch, and I have yet to see it, and it's apparently very good, but I think it's amazing that it managed to take home the top prize of the evening without winning in any other category. So it's not the best in anything else, but overall, it's the best film. Kind of blows my mind, and also is slightly confusing. Emilia Perez, The Substance and Wicked all took home 3 each, with Conclave, A Real Pain and Challengers taking home 2. I loved Challengers. That starred Zendaya, Josh O'Connor and also Mike Feist. It's been completely snubbed at the Oscars, despite it having a really great score and being a really good film, but it won. It won for its score at the Golden Globes and also at the Critics' Choice Awards, but yet again it missed out on a nomination at the Oscars, so maybe the Oscars isn't the be-all and end-all when it comes to awards. Anora has also taken home the Best Motion Picture Award at the Producers Guild Award and the Directors Guild Award, further cementing its likely Oscar win. It's kind of been simmering away what film is going to win it. Anora has kind of been at the front for the last few weeks, but these wins recently have really kind of gone, well, this is the obvious candidate, but you just don't know. So, upcoming awards are the BAFTAs, which are on the 16th of February. So the BAFTAs are always a bit more off the wall, not off the wall, I think that's the wrong expression, a little bit more out there with their choices and the nominations. It doesn't usually necessarily go along the same grain as all the other awards and give it to the same people. So Conclave was the most nominated film here with 12 nominations, followed by Emilia Perez with 11 and The Brutalist with 9. Wicked didn't do as well here as it has done at other ceremonies, despite it being largely filmed in and around the UK. Best film nominees are Anora, The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, which is the Bob Dylan biopic which stars Timothée Chalamet, Conclave and Emilia Perez. So as I said, Wicked being shut out of that category. Some more random nominees in the BAFTAs include Hugh Grant for Heretic and Saoirse Ronan for her performance in The Outrun, 2 performances that haven't really been honoured elsewhere. So yes, it's probably a little bit more wide open at the BAFTAs. I wouldn't be surprised if we have some more surprise wins and slightly out there wins. Blitz is another film that's had quite a few nominations here, but was completely shut out really out of all other major awards. Also starred Saoirse Ronan and set during the Blitz in World War II. I thought when I saw this announced and kind of promoted that it would be a front runner at all the awards, but clearly not. The BAFTAs have kind of been the only one to show it a lot of love. On the 23rd of February, we have the Screen Actors Guild Awards. So Wicked was the most nominated film with 5 nominations. They do have slightly less categories, followed by A Complete Unknown with 4. Honora and Amelia Perez had 3, and Conclave and The Last Showgirl had 2, which is a film that stars Pamela Anderson and Jamie Lee Curtis. So I think it's likely we'll see a repeat of the same quartet of actors winning again. It's nice to see that Jonathan Bailey was nominated for Best Supporting Actor in a film for his performance in Wicked. I think it's quite odd, he was barely in the film. I love him and I think he's fabulous and he was really good in the film, but I think it's surprising that he got nominated here, but nowhere else, I guess. And I imagine the award for Outstanding Performance by a Cast will go to Conclave because of just the group of actors. You've got John Lithgow, Stanley Tucci, Ray Fiennes. It's just fantastic. Such a good group of actors. Then you've got the Razzies, which are the Golden Raspberry Awards, which honour the worst in film. They are kind of a joke. They're a very kind of tongue-in-cheek thing. They always happen the day before the Oscars, I think. And there's been some fab winners over the years, including Sandra Bullock and Halle Berry, who went to the Razzies to accept their awards and gave a speech. Halle Berry took her Oscar with her, which she'd won for Monsters Ball, which I think was just hilarious. I think it's a really funny thing. I mean, some people think it's a bit mean, and maybe it is, because if we had that in theatre, that would be really, really harsh. But it is just a bit of fun, I think. The most nominated film this year was the sequel to Joker, which starred Lady Gaga and Joaquin Phoenix, which did really badly. It flopped. I'm not surprised it's been nominated for 7 awards. Zachary Levi, Broadway performer turned Trump supporter and conspiracy theorist, was nominated for his performance in Harold and the Purple Crayon. No, I've never watched it either. And Dakota Johnson was nominated for her performance in Madam Web, another really big flop from last year. And Ariana DeBose, a Tony nominee and Oscar winner for West Side Story, has been nominated for her performances in Argylle and Craven the Hunter. So some good actors in there nominated, but just in dreadful films. And then we have the Oscars on the 2nd of March, so they're quite a bit after all the others. They are kind of the last one, and leading the pack at the Oscars is Amelia Perez with 13 nominations. The Brutalist and Wicked have 10, A Complete Unknown and Conclave have 8, Honora has 6, Dune Part 2 and The Substance have 5, Nosferatu has 4, which is a horror film that's out at the moment, which is apparently very good. I'm Still Here, Sing Sing and The Wild Robot have 3, and The Apprentice, Flow, Nickel Boys and A Real Pain have 2. So lots of films nominated, and that's not including the ones that are nominated only once. I think it'll be interesting to see if Amelia Perez and the controversy surrounding affects this, because the voting has yet to open for the Oscars. It opens, I think it opens sometime this week, so it's after all this drama has come out. So it wouldn't surprise me if maybe Amelia Perez doesn't do as well as previously thought, and maybe Zoe Saldana might be punished for that. Will Ariana Grande take home the Oscar instead of her? It has happened. It wouldn't be a big surprise, I wouldn't think, but especially with Zoe Saldana trying to distance herself from the movie, but it could really affect their chances. But yes, I'm really excited for the Oscars. I will be staying up and watching it. I cannot wait. It's one of my favourite nights of the year. I love it all. I love it. So that's all the kind of awards that are coming up or have been for film, and all the films that are nominated. So before we move on to talking about the Theatres Trust, I want to talk about the next awards season for film and what the frontrunners might be, especially when it comes to musicals. So we have, of course, Wicked Part 2, which is being released in November this year. I do think it will do well, especially if it's as good as part one and it manages to repeat that success. I would not be surprised if we see a similar success story for them. Maybe not as many nominations because, again, I don't know whether it can be nominated in certain categories, but I do think it is a front runner next year. And also Kiss of the Spider Woman. So this is the adaptation of the stage musical by Kander and Ebb, and it stars Jennifer Lopez in the role originated on Broadway by Cheetah Rivera, and it just premiered at the Sundance Film Festival a few weeks ago, and apparently studios and streaming services are fighting it out to take the rights and release it worldwide. It's proving very popular. It had pretty great reviews, especially for Jennifer Lopez's performance. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see maybe Jennifer Lopez receiving her first Oscar nomination. And she had a good chance. She might have a good chance of winning. It would be great to see her win, and especially for a musical like this. And I think she looks great in the photos they've released of the movie, but apparently they've cut quite a lot of songs out, and they've only kept the songs that are in kind of the imagined sequences that are done by Jennifer Lopez's character. All the other songs sung by the two male leads aren't in it, which is a shame. It is a shame, but I do trust that the people behind it know what they're doing. It's directed by Bill Condon, who directed the film of Dreamgirls, which I really enjoyed, but also they did cut quite a lot of music out of that as well. But yeah, so Kiss of the Spider Woman is one to keep your eye on and see where it's being released. I'm hoping it gets a cinema release rather than just going to Netflix, because I quite like to see it in the cinema. But yes, so there's a couple of films, musical films, to watch out for in the next 12 months. So, let's talk about the Theatres Trust at-risk register. So they've released this every year for nearly 20 years now, and it's a list of theatres across the country, venues across the country, that are at risk of closure, and this list helps highlight them and kind of shine a light on what needs doing and what the situation is with each venue. So they're assessed on 3 criteria: community value, star rating, and the risk factor. And these scores are given between 0 and 3 in each category. A minimum score of 4 is needed to be added to the register, and you must not score 0 in any category. So community value establishes the local support and demand for a theatre, including the viability of the building as a performance venue. Star rating judges the building's architectural quality, workability as a theatre, cultural and social heritage, and geographical uniqueness. And risk factor assesses the level of threat to the building. This could be risk of demolition, alteration to another use, local development adversely affecting the theatre, change of ownership, decay of the building, or capital/revenue concerns. So it's quite complex kind of criteria to get on this list, but you'd be surprised how many actually do, and sadly they do as well, because hopefully in an ideal world there wouldn't be any of these on a list, but we live in a country which at some points hasn't supported the arts as much, and the arts is often kind of a area where councils and people in charge seem that they can get rid of funding because it saves money for elsewhere. And yes, the arts is a luxury, but I think it's also a vital component of the country and what we are. So I do think it's really good, though, that this year saw one theatre be removed, the Theatre Royal in Hyde, and that's been on the list since 2006, since the inception of this list, and it's been granted listed building consent to carry out various works to facilitate its use as a cultural centre. So the Theatres Trust have decided to take it off the list. So that is a really, really positive step. However, there have been quite a few added to the list this year. So you have the Brunton Theatre in Musselburgh, which was closed due to rack concrete presence, and then you also have the Harlequin Theatre and Cinema in Red Hill, which was closed for the same reason. They've both been added to the list this year, but it's just been announced that the Red Hill Theatre has received a £10 million injection from the council, so that's a really good sign. The Motherwell Concert Hall and Theatre has also been added to the list for the same reason, and the Prince of Wales Theatre in Cannock has closed due to council budgeting and them taking away money from the theatre, and also the Oswald Twistle, I think that's how you say it, Civic Arts Centre and Theatre, which closed suddenly in July 2023, has been added to the list after the charity that ran the theatre went into liquidation, and it was handed over to the council, who found that the venue needed important works, but the council can't commit to mounting the costs. So it's really sad to see that these theatres have been added to the list, but it's basically either council budgeting or the rack concrete, which has been such a huge thing and affected so many buildings and schools and theatres across the country, and it's just taken away venues from local communities. A really awful situation. At the top end of the list this year, the, if you will, most at risk are the Theatre Royal in Margate, the Hume Hippodrome in Manchester, the Palace Theatre in Plymouth, and the Victoria Theatre in Salford. But in total, there are 43 theatres on the list, so I'm not going to sit here and tell you about all of them because we'd be here for hours. But that's up from 39 last year and up on the year before as well. So it's always sad to see this, but this is why this list is so important, because it highlights this and it shows what the issue is, what needs to be done, and what the value is to the community and why it needs to be saved. And I'm a big supporter of this. I've made TikToks about it and I've really tried to promote it as much as I can because I think it's so important, and I love everything that the Theatres Trust do and the way that they manage to get funding and help campaigns to save venues. It's so important, and as someone who comes from a theatre-y background and has a theatre in the family that was at one point nearly closed down and was saved from the brink a few years ago, that I just understand how important it is, and I know how vital these venues are for local communities. So, to read the full list, you can go to theatrestrust.org.uk. All the information is on there. I suggest you do, just have a look, because it's really interesting as well to see all these photos of these derelict theatres and just the disrepair that they've fallen into. But yes, do keep supporting their work and support your local theatres, and make sure to spread the word if there's ever any doubt about its viability as a venue. So, let's move on to the theatre news and the new RSC season, which has just been announced. So, some of the things included this year include Much Ado About Nothing, directed by Michael Longhurst, and this is going to be reimagined in the world of professional football, which is a really fun and unique way to do a Shakespeare. You've got Titus Andronicus, starring Simon Russell Beale, which runs from the 17th of April to the 7th of June. A new version of The Constant Wife from the 20th of June to the 2nd of August, and this stars the wonderful actress Rose Leslie, who has appeared in Downton Abbey. She was in that one with Saran Jones, what's it called? Not Vigil, is that what it's called? I can't remember. But when they go in a submarine, she was in that as well. She was also been in The Good Fight as well. I really enjoyed her in that. A great actress. The Pulitzer Prize-winning play Fat Ham, which is loosely based on Hamlet, will make its UK premiere at the RSC from the 15th of August to the 13th of September, and a new stage adaptation of the BFG, Roald Dahl's The BFG, in a co-production with the Chichester Festival Theatre and the Roald Dahl Story Company. So this is going to be directed by the RSC co-artistic director Daniel Evans, who was previously the Chichester artistic director, so nice to see they are working together. And this plays Stratford from the 25th of November to the 31st of January 2026, before going to Chichester from the 16th of March to the 12th of April. I'm really looking forward to that. I do love the BFG as a story, and I'm so excited to see it on stage, especially at Chichester, a venue that I love. And another place that's announced its full season is the Regent's Park Open Air Theatre, and their premiere production this year is Shucked, which was on Broadway a few years back and is currently touring the US, and it makes its UK premiere from the 10th of May to the 14th of June, after it was previously announced that it was going to do a West End run at a Cameron Mackintosh theatre last year. Never really happened, nothing really came of that, and now it's in an outdoor production. How fun. But it's going to star Ben Joyce, Georgina Onura, Stephen Webb, Matthew Seedon Young, and Sophie McShearer, who you might know from Downton Abbey, from playing Daisy. Yes, Mrs. Patmore, that's what she says all the time. I love her as an actress. She makes me laugh in that programme, but she is one of the leading actors in Shucked. A brand new production of Brigadoon is also going to play Regent's Park from the 2nd of August to the 20th of September. So this is going to be directed by Drew McConey, and it's a new adaptation of Alan J. Lerner's original book. They're kind of rejigging it a bit, making it a better musical for this day and age, and I'm always for that, especially for a show that is very, very, very rarely done. It's nice to see a large-scale production of a classic musical performed, and I'm really excited for Brigadoon. Also, from the 19th to the 22nd of June, you can go and see Rodgers and Hammerstein's Dream Ballets from the musicals Allegro, Oklahoma and Carousel, all performed in one evening of dance with new musical arrangements. I can't wait for this. I will have to go and see this. It will be lovely to sit in the hopefully sunny weather at Regent's Park and see some beautiful dancing to some fantastic music. A really great idea, and hopefully it may be tours. I think it would be great to showcase more of those Rodgers and Hammerstein ballets because the music is stunning. It's so lovely. And they are a lost form. The musical theatre ballet is a very lost form of kind of musical theatre and an element of musical theatre, a bit like the overture. So hopefully maybe they'll make a return after this. Who knows? Mallory Blackman's book Noughts and Crosses has been adapted by Dominic Cook, and that's going to play Regent's Park from the 28th of June to the 22nd of July. And Roald Dahl's The Enormous Crocodile, he's having a good year, isn't he, is going to run there from the 15th of August to the 7th of September. So a really, really strong season, and one that across the board really excites me. Some other productions announced this week include Sean Hayes reprising his Tony-winning performance as Oscar Levant in the play Goodnight Oscar at the Barbican Theatre this summer. So this is only a 7-week run. Very, very short. But it's going to run from the end of July after Fiddler on the Roof has closed. I mentioned in the last episode that I didn't think that anything else would be going in, but I have been proven wrong. But again, Sean Hayes is a fab actor, and I wouldn't be surprised if he probably wins an Olivier for this performance. I think he's great and really versatile as well as a performer. He's hilarious in Will and Grace. I loved him in Promises, Promises on the cast recording, and yeah, I will definitely be going to see that. Austenland, which is based upon the hit novel and film of the same name, is going to receive 2 concert workshop performances at the Savoy on the 24th of March, and it's going to star Lucy Jones. I have never seen this novel or film, but Kerry Russell starred in the film, and I've just finished watching The Diplomat on Netflix. If you've not watched it, she's in it. It's amazing. It's like a political thriller, and it's so funny, and Alison Janney's in it. Do go and watch it. Sorry, bit sidetracked there. Hadley Fraser will perform his first ever solo concert at Cadogan Hall on the 15th of June. I love his voice, he's fantastic. Patrick Wilson, Jordan Donica and Nikki Renee Daniels have led an industry reading of a revised version of the 2013 musical Big Fish. So this had a short-lived Broadway run in 2013 with Norbert Leo Butts and Kate Baldwin, but this new version is just kind of a better version of it that's hopefully going to run slightly longer than the original production did. It is Broadway bound apparently, and it has got the original creatives working on it too, which is always a good sign. The worldwide smash Riverdance is going to launch a new North American tour later this year. It's going to visit over 40 cities, including 2 weeks at the Kennedy Center, more on the Kennedy Center in a minute, and a weekend at Radio City Music Hall. Tom Chambers is going to lead the first ever original stage adaptation of Inspector Morse in a tour this year. So House of Ghosts will open in Birmingham on the 28th of August ahead of a major UK tour to York, Nottingham, Woking, Brighton, Aberdeen, Newcastle and many more venues. And The Lion King is going to return to Australia for the first time since 2013 in a brand new production in Sydney from April 2026. So it's only toured Australia twice since its original production in 2003 and again in 2013. So this marks the 3rd time The Lion King has been performed over there. There's been some extensions announced as well. The Devil Wears Prada has extended once again, with its booking now going to January the 3rd, 2026. It's been such a surprise hit after a failed Chicago run in 2022, and it's really good to see. It's selling out all the time. Gypsy on Broadway has extended its booking to the 31st of August after initially booking till the middle of June. Again, this has been very successful, it's continually high up in the grosses every single week. And Second Best, starring Asa Butterfield, has extended by a week at the Riverside Studios until the 1st of March this year. But there have been a couple of cancellations as ever, including the tour of the musical Coraline. So this has been cancelled due to sexual misconduct allegations against the author Neil Gaiman. And the tour has released this statement saying, after careful consideration, we feel it would be impossible to continue in the context of the allegations against its original author. Our huge apologies for any inconvenience this causes. I mean, it's a difficult one because there's always that thing where should we separate the art from the artist, if you will. In certain situations, yes, but in situations like this, when it's a very serious allegation, so I'm not surprised they've cancelled it, and I think it probably was the right move. And also, Hugh Jackman has cancelled his previously announced Hyde Park concert in July, and this is due to unforeseen conflicts in his schedule. How can you book the concert? Your agent put the concert. Did they forget to put something in the Google Calendar? I'm not quite sure what's happened there, but he seems very sad about it, and he's hoping to do it at some point. So I mentioned a minute ago the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., and this has been at the forefront of headlines this week thanks to President Trump. So he has filed, amongst many other things he's doing at the moment, he's filed for termination notices to the members of the board of the Kennedy Center so he can instill himself as the board chair in an unprecedented move. So, historically, it's had members on the board from both Republican and Democratic presidents, and currently there are 36 members on the board, and it's evenly divided between Republicans and Democrats, with each member serving a term of 6 years. He can replace the board members, who will then elect a new chair. So basically, he can get rid of anyone who doesn't like him, replace them with people who do like him, who will then elect him as board chair, so he is in charge. This comes just after Trump has said that last year at the Kennedy Center, they featured drag shows specifically targeting our youth. This will stop. That was on his Truth Social. This man's a dick. I don't understand I don't get it. I don't understand why they voted him in. I just think it's a travesty, and he is just an absolute plonker, isn't he? He's an absolute wanker. But the Kennedy Center have released this statement, which I thought I would read to you as it gives a little bit more context to what's going on. Throughout our history, the Kennedy Center has enjoyed strong support from members of Congress and their staffs, Republicans, Democrats, and Independents. Since our doors opened in 1971, we have had a collaborative relationship with every presidential administration. Since that time, the Kennedy Center has had a bipartisan board of trustees that has supported the arts in a non-partisan fashion. While we are a living memorial to President Kennedy, we are also a unique public-private partnership. The centre is supported by federal annual appropriations for the upkeep and maintenance of the building as a federal memorial, or approximately 16% of the total operating budget. Support for the centre's artistic programming comes from ticket sales, donations, rental income, and other revenue sources. The Kennedy Center is aware of the post made recently by the President of the United States on social media. We have received no official communications from the White House regarding changes to our Board of Trustees. We are aware that some members of our board have received termination notices from the administration. Per the Centre's governance established by Congress in 1958, the chair of the Board of Trustees is appointed by the Centre's board members. There is nothing in the Centre's statute that would prevent a new administration from replacing board members. However, this would be the first time such action has taken place with the Kennedy Centre's board. It just proves furthermore that Trump is wanting control over everything. And he's done some horrendous things in the last few weeks, and he's just oblivious. I genuinely don't think he really knows what he's talking about. He's more of a puppet for everyone else in his kind of groupies and all his rich friends and all that. I just think it's disgusting personally. And obviously this is a very kind of minor thing compared to some of the other horrendous things he's done. But as it's theatre related, I thought I would talk about this on here. But he is just a vile man, and I do truly despair. And it's ridiculous. He's said also, I saw an interview yesterday talking about this, and someone asked, why have you done this? He was like, the programming's dreadful, the shows they put on are disgusting. And someone asked, have you been to see any? He went, well, no, actually, no, I haven't. So I don't understand how he's just stupid as hell. And America is stupid for voting him in. But yeah, I will keep you updated on that. But yeah, just don't really like the man at all. This week we've lost three great theatre people, and I say people because they're not all performers. The first was the wonderful theatre poster designer David Edward Bird, who died at the age of 83. Now, you may be asking, why am I talking about this man? But you will know his posters, because he designed the original posters for Little Shop of Horrors, Godspell, The Magic Show, Jesus Christ Superstar, designs for Fleetwood Mac, Jimi Hendrix, Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, Joni Mitchell, but most famously, his Broadway poster for Follies, which was such an iconic poster, and still is to this day. Very, very sad, and his designs luckily will live on forever, and especially the Godspell poster, that is so iconic as well, and that design is used and was used in the recent Broadway revival. But yes, a really, really talented man. Olga James has died at the age of 95. She starred as the titular character in the film adaptation of Carmen Jones in 1954, and she made one Broadway appearance in the 1956 musical Mr. Wonderful opposite Sammy Davis Jr. And also the wonderful actor Tony Roberts has passed away at aged 85. He had countless Broadway credits, including a Tony-nominated performance in the musical How Now, Dow Jones in 1968, and another Tony nom the following year for his performance in the play Play It Again, Sam. His other Broadway credits include Barefoot in the Park, Promises, Promises, which he also toured the US in, Sugar, Absurd Person Singular, They're Playing Our Song, Jerome Robbins Broadway, another one that he also toured in, The Seagull, Victor Victoria, he also starred in the film of that in 1985 with Julie Andrews, Xanadu, and his last Broadway credit was in 2009 in the play The Royal Family. Over in the world of film and TV, aside from the Oscars and other awards, it has been confirmed that Hadestown will be filmed live at the Lyric Theatre with the original Broadway and West End cast. Again, not surprised about this. I spoke about this last week, thinking that it possibly might be the case, and they are filming the shows on the 25th, 26th and 27th of February, so that is happening really, really soon. Sky Arts are going to broadcast some National Theatre productions in the coming month as well. Othello is being broadcast on the 18th at 9 o'clock, The Crucible on the 25th, and on the 4th of March you can watch the Frankenstein performance with Johnny Lee Miller, and on the 11th of March you can watch the same show starring Benedict Cumberbatch, which I never got round to watching those when they were put on YouTube in lockdown, so maybe this is my chance. And before we go on to the casting news, Romantics Anonymous has announced it will release a live UK cast recording. This was recorded during its run in 2020 at the Bristol Old Vic, and it will be available to stream from the 14th of this month. And let's round off with some casting news. The first is kind of news, but kind of not, because it's a kind of a squashing a rumour that has been going around. Ariana DeBose is not going to lead the West End revival of Evita, as previously reported. She was interviewed by someone on a red carpet somewhere, and she said that there's 70% there to get in the contracts, but seemingly that 30% was where it failed, because it's apparently due to scheduling conflicts, which is a shame, because I would have liked to see her in the West End, and she's not having great success with films at the moment, so maybe theatre's where she needs to go. Desmonda Catabel, Victoria Hamilton-Barrett, Chris Jarman and Cedric Neal are some of the new cast joining the West End production of Hadestown once the current West End cast leave after they've done their filming. Megan Ellis, Darren Day, Laura Medforth, Jacob Warner, Joseph Peacock and Lena Patty Jones are some of the cast leading the UK premiere of Muriel's Wedding at the Leicester Curve from the 10th of April to the 10th of May. I watched this film for the first time last year, and it stars Toni Collette, and it's really fun and campy, and I think it's going to make a great musical. Titus Burgess is going to play the role of Mary Todd Lincoln in the hit Broadway play Oh Mary for 3 weeks only, from the 18th of March to the 6th of April, a very short run, so if you want to see him, you've got a very small window to do so. Frances Mailey McCann and Jamie Moscato are going to lead the West End production of The Great Gatsby at the London Coliseum, two very well-known performers. Frances performed recently in Bonnie and Clyde, and Jamie Moscato in Moulin Rouge and Heathers. Natasha Yvette Williams, Jenna Bainbridge and Daniel Quadrino are going to join the cast of Wicked on Broadway in the roles of Madame Morrible, Nessa Rose and Bock respectively from the 4th of March, and Bainbridge is going to become the first ever wheelchair user to play the part of Nessa Rose on stage. Elizabeth Debicki and Kate Fleetwood are going to join Ewan McGregor in The Master Builder in the West End at the Wyndhams from the 17th of April to the 12th of July. Max Bowden and Paul Jacob Frank are going to lead Midnight Cowboy at the Southwark Playhouse Elephant from the 4th of April to the 17th of May. And Adam Davidson, Lulu May Pears, Elliot Allenson and Eleanor Walsh will take on the lead roles in the UK professional premiere of Crybaby at the Arcola Theatre from the 6th of March to the 12th of April. Oh, we covered a lot in that. That was good. I feel like I've spoken about everything that's been going on in the world of theatre and just general entertainment this week as well. But I do hope you enjoyed. Make sure you leave a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts or a follow and a rating on Spotify. It would be much appreciated. And tell your friends and family about the podcast too. But I will speak to you once more next week with all the latest theatre news, reviews and more.